Hello, welcome to a League of Legends zoning tutorial update for 2025. This footage was taken from a Grandmaster game on the NA server, and while there's a lot of other things at play here, today I want to focus on zoning, as the basics are still relevant in this ELO. Everything in League of Legends has a zone of influence. For example, the minion's EXP range is quite large and looks something like this. When champions are forced outside of this range, this is what we commonly refer to as zoning the enemy champions away from the minions. Champions also have their own zone of influence. You'll notice here that the bot laner's zone influence looks something like this. Note the distance they're giving each other. Neither one of them wants to take unnecessary hits from the other enemy champion and are therefore staying outside of each other's zone of influence. Note the blue team's positioning here. Thresh's main ability is his hook ability. However, Thresh's zone of influence is impacted by the fact that his hook cannot go through minions, and thus it looks something like this. Draven and Seraphine are smartly positioning themselves using the minions as a wall to make sure they don't get hit by Thresh's hook. Thresh uses a key ability here, his hook. Now Thresh's zone of influence has shrunken considerably with the death sentence on cooldown for 15 seconds. He exerts a lot less influence and the blue team moves to punish it. Let's talk a moment about junglers. The jungler's range of influence is quite large. After all, if you don't know where the jungler is, it's safer to assume that they could be anywhere. Qiyana's zone of influence looks something like this, anywhere where the blue team doesn't see. Very crucially, this ward does not see Qiyana's positioning coming through here. As Thresh moves forward to exert his smaller range of influence, note that Draven respects this change in positioning by Thresh, but Seraphine does not and gets hit by the Flay. Now the blue team is in trouble here. Note that how Draven is maintaining his position outside of the red team's zone of influence, but Seraphine has not and will die as a result. Now let's take a look at top lane, as the aspects of zone control applies even here. In this scenario, Gnar has a larger zone of influence compared to Riven, as he is a ranged champion whereas Riven is melee. Note the distance Riven is giving Gnar. She's even avoiding killing the minions that are clearly in Gnar's zone. Here we can see how the turret affects the champion's zone of influence. Gnar wants to continue harassing Riven, but can't step any closer due to the turret zone of influence, forcing Gnar out. On the other hand, Riven knows that even if she's under the turret, she cannot step forward into Gnar's range of influence because he can still harass her despite the turret being nearby. Here, the blue side jungler is attempting to make a play on Gnar. But note how Gnar uses his escape tool, his jump. He times it for right when Xin Zhao's zone of influence reaches Gnar. This is to maximize his chances of escaping. Because he does this successfully, although he still dies under his turret, he's able to trade 1 for 2. Let's look at a team fight that happens later this game. Despite having a numbers advantage, Red Team is respecting Vladimir's zone of influence. On the other hand, Vladimir is trying to stay just outside of everyone else's zone of influence, using the minions to avoid the Thresh Hook. The moment that Thresh and Vladimir enters each other's range of influences, the fight starts. Now the blue side jungler has joined the fight. Note Samira walking backwards, as Xin Zhao is exerting his zone of influence. Qiyana is smartly using her zone of influence to help reinforce Samira's positioning. Unfortunately, Xin Zhao does not respect Ahri's zone of influence, and Ahri charms backwards and hits Xin Zhao. With the charm landing, Xin's zone is 0, and the red team looks to capitalize on this. As such, Xin Zhao is forced to use his ultimate to stay alive, and he is forced to exit the fight. Samira sees an opportunity to flash into the enemy to finish off the Xin Zhao, but note the positioning of the rest of the red team. The red team is not in position to capitalize on Samira's engage, as the entire blue team is outside the red team's influence. As a result, Samira is going to take a significant amount of damage here, although she does still kill the Xin Zhao. But here, she overexerts her zone of influence into the turret. Despite the red team being stronger, they're unable to help Samira since she's outside the red team's zone of influence while inside the blue team's zone of influence. Luckily, Draven also disrespects the new zone of influence of Thresh as his death sentence is now back off cooldown. With no minions blocking the way, he has a free hook onto Draven. Qiyana now looks to do a similar flash engage that Samira did, but this one works out a lot better. Note Ahri's positioning, as she is in position to help capitalize on the engage, unlike Samira's engage. Seraphine looks to harass the low health Ahri and Qiyana. However, Gnar is coming up right behind her. If she continues chasing here, she is guaranteed to die to Gnar coming up from behind her, while Ahri and Qiyana continue kiting away. She tries to save herself by running back under her turret, but it's too late, as Gnar is able to finish her off. I hope this helps you understand why controlling space is so important in League of Legends, as this basic is still relevant in the highest level of League of Legends play. As you're starting out, don't worry too much about getting the exact zone distance correct. Instead, focus more on understanding where the different zones of controls are and where danger is, so that you can position yourself safely while still being dangerous to everyone else. That is it for my zoning tutorial. I hope this helps you on your own League of Legends journey, and until next time, I'll see you later.